I never meant to find it. I wasn't looking for anything, wasn't suspicious, wasn't the kind of husband who checked my wife's devices. But that night, everything changed. Lisa was in the shower, humming softly behind the half-closed bathroom door, steam curling into the bedroom. Her laptop was on the nightstand, open but idle. She had asked me earlier that day to update some software, and I figured now was as good a time as any. I sat down, entered the password I knew by heart, and started the update. It was routine until I clicked on the Wi-Fi settings. I don't even know why I did it. Maybe habit, maybe boredom, maybe something deep inside me already knew. The list of saved networks appeared, familiar ones from our home, her office, coffee shops we visited. But one name froze me. Regency Grand Hotel. A slow, creeping chill spread through me. My stomach twisted. We had never stayed there. Not together. I clicked for more details. The last connection date flashed on the screen. 2 weeks ago. My mind raced. 2 weeks ago, Lisa had been on a business trip. A different city. A hotel 5 hours away. I remembered the calls, the good nights, the texts about how exhausted she was. So why the hell had her laptop automatically connected to a hotel in our own city? I sat there, staring at the screen, my pulse pounding in my ears. Maybe there was an explanation. Maybe a meeting, a conference, something she forgot to mention. But I knew my wife. Lisa was meticulous. She didn't forget details. I clicked deeper. My fingers moved on their own, as if they already knew where to go. Connection logs. The history stretched back further than I expected. Not just 2 weeks ago. 3 months. 5 months. The same hotel. Over and over. I felt like I was drowning. The air in the room grew thick, heavy. The sound of the shower running in the background became muffled, distant. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't just one night. Lisa had been there before. Many times. I swallowed hard, forcing myself to breathe. My hands were shaking. But I wasn't done. If she had lied about this, what else had she lied about? I moved to the laptop's system logs, checking usage during those nights. Late night activity. Files opened at 2 a.m. An email sent at 3:14 a.m. I clicked the cloud storage. The most recent backup loaded instantly. Dozens of files, nothing unusual. But then, my breath caught in my throat. A photo, one I had never seen before. My hands felt ice cold as I clicked it open. It was a mirror selfie, Lisa's reflection in a dimly lit hotel room. But that wasn't what made my stomach lurch. In the background, barely visible in the reflection of the mirror, was someone else. A man, sitting on the bed. His face wasn't clear, but something about his posture, the shape of his shoulders, sent a deep, bone-chilling dread through me. I knew him. I didn't want to believe it, but I knew. The shower shut off. Lisa's voice carried from the bathroom. "Babe, did you start the update?" I snapped the laptop shut, my breath shallow, my heart slamming against my ribs. I turned, forcing my face into something neutral as she stepped out in a towel, smiling at me like nothing had changed. She had no idea that I knew. But now, the game had begun, and I wasn't going to stop until I had all the answers. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in bed, listening to Lisa's slow, steady breathing beside me, staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment from the past few months. The lies, the missing details, the night she was too tired to talk. All the times I had trusted her without a second thought. Now I saw everything differently. The name of that hotel burned into my brain. The image of that man, his blurred silhouette sitting casually on the bed, wouldn't leave me. My mind kept circling back to the same question. Who was he? I had a sick feeling I already knew. Lisa shifted in her sleep, murmuring something. I turned my head, watching her face in the dim glow of the nightlight. She looked peaceful, content, like someone who had no idea her husband was lying awake next to her, planning his next move. I had a choice. I could confront her now, shake her awake, demand an explanation. But she would lie. I wasn't ready for that. Not yet. I needed proof. Real proof. The kind she couldn't talk her way out of. By morning, I had a plan. Lisa kissed me goodbye before heading to work, completely unaware that the man she had fooled for months was about to turn the tables. As soon as she was gone, I grabbed her laptop. My hands were steady now, my mind clear. I went back to the system logs, retracing my steps from the night before. The emails. She had sent one at 3:14 a.m. on the night. She was at the Regency Grand Hotel. It wasn't much, just a forwarded message, but it confirmed something important. She hadn't been asleep like she claimed. She had been awake, using her laptop. With him, I checked the photo again. The timestamp matched her business trip night. This was real. Next, I opened her cloud storage, scanning through her backups. Most of the files were standard documents, presentations, spreadsheets. Then I saw it, a hidden folder. It was buried deep, disguised as a system file. If I hadn't been looking for something suspicious, I never would have noticed it. I clicked it open. Inside were dozens of photos, some of them harmless, but others. My stomach turned to stone. Lisa, in the same dimly lit hotel room, in different outfits, different nights, and in some of them, she wasn't alone. The man wasn't hiding in the background anymore. His face was clearer now, and the moment I saw him, my blood ran cold. I knew him. I had spent holidays with him, shared drinks, laughed with him, trusted him. Mark, my best friend, my business partner, the man who had stood beside me at my wedding. My body went numb. A strange calm settled over me, like the eye of a storm. Lisa wasn't cheating with some random stranger. She was cheating with him. This wasn't just a betrayal. It was war. I don't remember breathing. I don't remember moving. I just sat there, staring at the screen, at Mark's face, at Lisa's body leaning into him like he was the man she had sworn her vows to. I should have felt rage. I should have thrown the laptop against the wall, called her, screamed. But instead, I felt nothing. A hollow kind of emptiness, like something inside me had shut off. Maybe it was because the truth had been right in front of me all along, and I had been too blind to see it. Maybe it was because Mark, of all people, had been the one to betray me. My best friend, the man I had trusted like a brother. Lisa had been lying to me for months. Mark had been looking me in the eyes, shaking my hand, talking business as if nothing had changed. They thought I was stupid, and now I was going to let them keep thinking that. When Lisa came home that evening, she was exactly the same as she had always been. She kissed me on the cheek, asked about my day, poured herself a glass of wine. Nothing was different. No guilt in her eyes. No hesitation in her touch. She was good at this. Too good. I tested the waters. How was work? She sighed, rolling her shoulders. Exhausting. So many back-to-back meetings. Lie. I sipped my drink, nodding like I believed her. Yeah? What about next week? You still heading out for that trip? She didn't even pause. Yeah, flying out Tuesday morning. Another lie. I knew exactly where she was going to be. Not on a plane, not in another city. She'd be right here, checking into a hotel room with him. The game had officially begun. The next day, I made my first move. I called Mark. I forced my voice to sound normal, casual, like nothing had changed. Hey man, want to grab a drink tonight? There was a hesitation, a slight one. Yeah sure. Everything okay? I laughed. Of course. Just been a while since we hung out. He agreed. And just like that, the liar walked straight into my trap. That evening, we met at our usual bar. Mark was the same as always. Relaxed, confident, completely unaware that the man sitting across from him knew everything. I watched him closely, looking for cracks in the mask. So, how's life? I asked. He shrugged. You know, busy as hell. Work's been crazy. Lie. I smiled. Lisa's been slammed too. Barely see her these days. He nodded, sipping his beer. Yeah man, you know how it is? I didn't know how it was. And now, I knew exactly what kind of man Mark was. We talked about meaningless things, sports, work, weekend plans. And the whole time, I waited for the moment to push. When he was 2 drinks in, I leaned back in my chair, swirling my glass. You ever feel like your life is too predictable? He raised an eyebrow. What do you mean? I sighed, playing my part. Like, you wake up, go to work, come home, same routine, same everything. Feels like something's missing, you know? Something flickered across his face. Just for a second, a split-second flash of guilt. He covered it quickly. Yeah, I get that. I smirked. You ever do anything about it? He hesitated. just long enough for me to see it. I had him. I let the silence hang between us, just long enough to make him think, to make him wonder if I knew. Then I laughed, clinking my glass against his. Just messing with you. His shoulders relaxed, his grin returning. Yeah, man, you had me there for a second. I smiled back, pretending I didn't want to put my fist through his face. He thought he had gotten away with it. He had no idea that I was just getting started. I walked out of that barn knowing one thing for certain. Mark was a liar, but he wasn't a good one. He thought he had fooled me. Thought I was just another clueless husband, blindly trusting my wife while she slept in another man's arms. But I saw it, the flicker of doubt in his eyes, the slight hesitation in his voice. He wasn't as smooth as he thought he was. And Lisa? She had spent months perfecting her performance, slipping into my bed at night, kissing me good morning, sending me texts just to say I love you. It was almost impressive. Almost. But I wasn't impressed. I was ready. The next morning, Lisa was already up when I came downstairs. She was standing by the coffee maker, scrolling through her phone, completely unaware that her entire world was about to shift beneath her feet. I wrapped my arms around her from behind, pressing a kiss to her shoulder the way I always did. She leaned into me, just like she always did. "How'd you sleep?" I asked. She sighed. "Barely. Too much on my mind." I smirked against her skin. "Yeah? Work stress?" "Yeah," she said a little too quickly. I pulled away, watching her sip her coffee. If she felt guilty, she didn't show it. That would change soon enough. I picked up my phone, acting casual. "Oh, by the way, I ran into Mark last night." Lisa's fingers tightened around her mug. Subtle, but I caught it. "Oh, yeah. Just grabbed a couple of drinks, talked about work. You know, the usual." I paused, tilting my head. Funny thing, though, he seemed different, like something was on his mind. I let the words sit between us. I wanted to see her reaction. Lisa forced a laugh. "Well, I don't know what that's about. He seemed fine when I saw him last." When I saw him last, the words slipped out before she could stop them. I smiled. "Oh yeah? When was that?" She hesitated. It was slight, just a second too long, but I noticed. "At work, obviously." "Lie." She recovered quickly, flashing me that easy, familiar smile. "Why? What's with the interrogation?" I shook my head. "No reason. Just curious." I leaned down, kissing her on the cheek. She smelled like vanilla and coffee, like home, like the woman I had loved for years. It was almost enough to make me forget. But I didn't forget. That afternoon, I made my next move. Lisa had another business trip coming up in a few days. Another lie. Another night in a hotel room with Mark. But this time, I wouldn't be sitting at home, waiting for her to come back. I logged into our shared phone account and checked her location history again. The Regency Grand Hotel. The same place, the same routine. I booked a room there, same night, 2 floors above hers. Lisa thought she was careful, thought she was untouchable. She had no idea I was about to walk straight into her secret world and watch it burn around her. The night of Lisa's business trip arrived faster than I expected. She packed her bags in the morning, kissed me goodbye like she always did, and walked out the door with a lie sitting on her lips. I waited exactly 1 hour before leaving. My own bag was already packed, just a change of clothes and my laptop. Nothing much. I wasn't planning on staying long. By the time I arrived at the Regency Grand Hotel, the sun was already dipping below the horizon. I checked in without a hitch, taking the elevator up to my room 2 floors above Lisa's. I stood by the window, looking down at the entrance below. 10 minutes later, a black car pulled up. Lisa stepped out. I had seen her wear that dress before. Tight, elegant, designed to impress. But not for me. Not tonight. A few seconds later, another door opened. Mark. He stepped out, smooth as ever, adjusting his suit jacket as if he hadn't just destroyed a 15-year friendship. He followed her inside, his hand brushing the small of her back as they walked through the lobby. I gripped the windowsill, my nails pressing into the cold surface. They thought they were careful. They thought they were smart. They had no idea I was watching. I gave them 30 minutes, just enough time to settle in, to think they were safe. Then I took the elevator down. The hallway was quiet. Lisa's room was at the far end, the door closed, a do not disturb sign hanging from the handle. I knocked. Silence. Then a muffled voice. Lisa's. Who is it? I let the pause stretch. Let the tension settle. Then I said, room service. Footsteps. Soft, hesitant. Then the lock clicked. The door opened an inch, just enough for Lisa to peek out. She wasn't expecting me. She was expecting a hotel employee. Her smile faded the second she saw my face. Her eyes went wide, her breath catching in her throat. I stepped forward, pressing my palm against the door, forcing it open just enough to slip inside. Mark was sitting on the edge of the bed, frozen, his shirt unbuttoned halfway. His expression went from confusion to horror in an instant. Lisa stumbled backward, shaking her head. Danny, what are you? I let the door close behind me. The sound echoed through the room like a gunshot. Then I smiled. Calm, controlled. Don't stop on my account. Lisa's face drained of color. She opened her mouth, then closed it again like a fish gasping for air. Mark sat frozen on the bed, his shirt half undone, looking like he had just seen a ghost. I took my time. I wanted them to feel it, the slow, creeping horror of realizing they were trapped. Lisa finally found her voice, barely a whisper. Danny, I can explain. I chuckled. Oh, I'd love to hear it. I stepped further into the room, casually glancing around. The untouched champagne on the nightstand, the neatly folded clothes, the unmade bed. Lisa tried again. It's not what you think. I raised an eyebrow. Really? Because what I think is that my wife and my best friend have been meeting in this hotel for months. That my wife has been lying to my face while sneaking off to fuck the man who stood beside me at my wedding. But please, tell me what it really is. Lisa flinched like I had struck her. Mark opened his mouth, his hands raised as if to calm me down. Look, man, I turned to him sharply. Shut up. He did. I let the silence hang for a moment, watching them squirm. Then I reached into my jacket pocket and pulled out my phone. Lisa's eyes flicked to it, panic flashing across her face. Danny, please. I tapped the screen and held it up. The first image appeared, a photo of them from Lisa's cloud storage. The one with Mark sitting on the bed, just like now, his blurred reflection in the mirror. Lisa inhaled sharply. Mark muttered a curse under his breath. I swiped to the next one. Another picture. Another night. A different outfit. Swipe. Another. Swipe. Another. With each flick of my finger, Lisa seemed to shrink further into herself, and Mark's breathing grew heavier. I tilted my head. Funny thing about technology, huh? Wi-Fi connections, cloud backups, location tracking. You really should have been more careful. Lisa's voice was barely above a whisper. What do you want? I stared at her, at the woman I had once loved, the woman I had built a life with. And I felt nothing. Then I turned to Mark. You. His eyes widened. Me? I smirked. You're going to walk out of here and never speak to her again. You're going to quit the business, your shares, your position, all of it. Gone. His face twisted in anger. That's bullshit. I cut him off. Or I send every single one of these pictures to your wife, your colleagues, your family. I'll make sure your kids see what kind of man you really are. Mark's jaw clenched. His hands balled into fists. But he wasn't stupid. He knew I wasn't bluffing. His shoulders slumped. Phoenix. Lisa turned to him, desperate. Mark, no. I held up a hand. You don't get a say in this. Her lips trembled, tears welling in her eyes. Danny, please. I love you. I laughed. A hollow, empty sound. No, Lisa. You love getting away with it. She sobbed, reaching for me, but I stepped back. I turned to Mark one last time. You have 5 minutes to get the hell out of here. If you ever cross my path again, you won't see me coming. Mark swallowed hard. Then he grabbed his jacket and pushed past me, leaving Lisa standing there shaking. I took one last look at her, this woman I no longer recognized. Then I turned and walked out the door. I didn't look back. The elevator doors slid open, and I stepped inside without hesitation. My hands were steady, my heartbeat calm. The weight of betrayal that had been crushing me for weeks was gone. Lisa was still up there, probably still crying, still trying to figure out how everything had collapsed around her. Mark was likely already on his way out of the hotel, head down, defeated, knowing his life would never be the same again. Good. I exited the lobby, the cool night air hitting my face like a cleansing wave. For the first time in weeks, I felt like I could breathe again. Lisa had spent months weaving a web of lies, thinking she was in control, thinking I would never notice. But the thing about lies is that they only work if the other person never asks the right questions. She had underestimated me, and now she was left with nothing but the wreckage of her own choices. By the time I got home, the house felt different, quieter, colder. I walked into our bedroom and stared at the neatly made bed, the same bed she had shared with me while secretly giving herself to someone else. It made me sick. I pulled out my suitcase and started packing. I wasn't going to sleep in this house another night. I had already prepared for this, had already moved some of my essentials to a hotel near my office. I would stay there until the divorce was in motion. I wasn't interested in a screaming match. I wasn't going to let Lisa beg, plead, or try to manipulate me into staying. I was done. Lisa came home 2 hours later. I heard the key turn in the lock, heard her hesitant footsteps in the hallway. She must have seen the suitcase because her voice broke when she called out my name. "Danny, please, can we talk?" I zipped up the bag, turned to face her. She looked wrecked, mascara streaked down her cheeks, eyes puffy and red. "Danny, I made a mistake, but..." "A mistake?" I let out a hollow laugh. "A mistake is forgetting an anniversary. A mistake is burning dinner. What you did, that wasn't a mistake. That was a choice. Over and over again." She stepped closer, reaching for me. "But I love you." "No." I cut her off. "You love what I gave you. Stability, loyalty, security. You don't love me." Tears spilled down her face. "Please, we can fix this." I stared at her for a long moment, then shook my head. "I don't want to fix this." Her breath hitched. "Danny, don't." I picked up my bag and walked past her. She reached for my arm, but I pulled away. At the door, I paused, turning back to her one last time. "You know what hurts the most?" My voice was steady. "I didn't lose just my wife. I lost my best friend too, and you took them both from me." She crumbled, sobbing, but I didn't stay to watch. I stepped outside, shutting the door behind me. I didn't look back. I never would. As I drove away, I felt something strange, something unexpected. Relief. Lisa and Mark had spent months thinking they were the ones in control. But in the end, it was me who walked away. It was me who had the last word. And that was enough.